Appreciate y'all coming out tonight. Show the audience here. Okay. What if I told you that for $157, you could see dozens of great bands, put on an amazing show, but you also had to endure 100-degree temperatures, a chaotic crowd of 200,000 people, a lack of water, inadequate restrooms? Would you still go? Today I'm going to inform you about the Woodstock 99 Festival and cover all the good and bad things that happened during the three-day event in 1999. Since I attended the Woodstock 99 Festival, I can provide a personal narrative of the events that unfolded, and also I completed some research, and I'm a musician myself, so that's kind of my passion. I enjoy bands, so it's something I enjoy talking about. So today I'm going to cover some background, mention some of the bands that played there, talk about some of the problems that occurred, and I'm also going to share my personal experience of Woodstock. So Krebs 2014 stated that Woodstock was held on July 22nd through the 25th, 1999, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the original Woodstock Festival. It was held in upstate New York, and it was actually held at the decommissioned Griffith Air Force Base in Rome, New York, which is 200 miles southwest of the original Woodstock. That's according to Ostroff 2014. According to Krebs, the attendance was 220,000 people attended the festival, and 10,000 worked there. Next, I'll talk about some of the bands. Jacobs 2014 put together this list. I can't list all of them, but there's plenty. Ice Cube, Bush, Counting Crows, Insane Clown Posse, James Brown, Willie Nelson, Sheryl Crow, George Clinton, Alanis Morissette, Rage Against the Machine, Metallica, Megadeth. So there's a mix of about everything, old, new, country, some rock. So now that we discussed the background and the artists that performed, I'll talk about some of the problems that occurred. And I mentioned before that Griffith Air Force Base, it kind of caused some environmental and logistical problems, because what it was an old Air Force base, so it was just concrete runways. Then on top of that, they cleared the trees. According to Giles, they cleared trees to eliminate, but didn't eliminate the shade. What they did is they cleared the trees to make room for the stage, but that took out all the shade. So the heat beat down on the concrete and the pavement with 100-degree temperatures. It was just basically like an oven there. So, and there was no relief from the shade. Ostroff also stated that there wasn't enough porta potties or showers to accommodate the large crowd. So also according to Krebs, the heat caused a water shortage, because 220,000 spectators either had to buy $4 bottled water or wait in ridiculously long lines. Because of that, some of the people got frustrated, broke the water fountains, which that's kind of illustrated on the picture there. And, it ended up causing mud puddles, things like that. Also, some of the musical performers stirred the pot and caused some problems. According to Ganol, 1999, Insane Clown Posse started the ball rolling because they threw $100 bills into the crowd, which set off a melee. People were diving and fighting for them. And according to Wartofsky, an impromptu bonfire broke out because what happened, an anti-gun group handed out candles. It was supposed to be a peace vigil for the song Under the Bridge, but the concert goers decided to use the candles for other things, so they started setting pieces of the picket fence on fire. Eventually the stage ended up catching on fire. So, to the point where they had to stop it at the end, have the fire department come. So, also Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit also caused problems. Since I witnessed both those bands, I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. So, now that we talked about some of the problems, I'd like to share my personal experience. I thought the energy level there was insane for the first 2 days. I was there for the first 2 days, and the vibe was phenomenal. The crowd was really into it. The bands were really good, but it's just a combination of the heat, the mud, the aggression, the overflowing toilets, the fact that everything was overpriced, you know, things just kind of build up and just tempers kind of exploded. I witnessed the events from the east stage. There was the east stage and the west stage, and what it was a mile and a half in between the stages, and I wasn't walking back and forth in that heat, so I just stayed at the east stage. So some of the bands I watched were James Brown, Offspring, Korn, Bush, Dave Matthews Band, Metallica, Alanis Morissette. Yeah, there's a lot more, but I can't remember all of them. Those were just the ones off the top of my head. But the three bands that did the best job, I thought, were live. You know, they do the song "I Alone" and "Lightning Crashes." Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock did a great job too. And like I mentioned, Kid Rock had amazing energy. He was one of the better people. You know, he got everybody excited and stuff. But at the end of his set, then he told everybody, "I want to see every possible thing flying through the air." And then he qualified, but he said, "Nothing that'll hurt anybody, just plastic bottles. Let's have some fun." So, like, for the next few minutes, everybody was throwing plastic bottles. So you can imagine 200,000 people throwing plastic bottles at the stage. I mean, it was like a plague of locusts. I mean, the sky was just full of it, and Kid Rock thought it was funny. He's laughing about it. He actually had to go run for cover because, I mean, they were just hitting everywhere. So he was pretty proud of himself for that. And then Limp Bizkit was even worse. They got on there, and the lead singer's Fred Durst, and he was really wound up. He'd yell, telling everybody to get fired up, you know, which was kind of cool because he told everybody to wave their hands in the air. So you have, 200,000 people all waving their hands in the air. And he was saying, "Get up, I want to see everybody jump." Everybody's jumping up and down. And it was really cool. So then he launches into the song called "Break Stuff." And the song "Break Stuff," he starts saying, if you start having problems in your life, problems with your boss, problems in a relationship, sometimes you just need to let that frustration out. So why don't we just go break stuff? And some of the moshers just started going crazy. And they ripped plywood boards off the light tower. And I mean, they took them and they were crowd surfing on them. And Fred Durst thought it was funny. They ended up knocking that light tower down. And eventually Fred Durst even jumped into the crowd and got on the board. So that got everybody else excited. So it's just, I heard, people got assaulted in the mosh pit. And it was just, you get that many people with that much heat, people are going to end up getting hurt. I mentioned the water shortage. $4 bottles of water. The water fountains were smashed, which created mud pits, and Jacobs corroborated that. And so how I handled the heat, I actually discovered a slush puppy booth into the tarmac. So, I mean, it was kind of a good walk, but, it was kind of good to have the flavored ice. I mean, it was good in the 100-degree heat. So there's also a water refill station. I had to walk a long way to get it, but I took the plastic bottles and filled them up. So I ended up enduring it that way. I just filled up my plastic bottles, went to the slush puppy booth, and I ended up leaving Saturday night because I avoided the riots and fires. I didn't see any of that, luckily. So now I'd like to conclude with the following statements. So we specifically looked at the background music problems and my personal experience at Woodstock. So I hope I've successfully informed you about the good and bad things of Woodstock, and hopefully people learn from this event, both the performers, the promoters, to learn that something like this don't happen again, because it really was a great show. The bands were great, the energy was great, but it's just, you get that many people together in that kind of environment, it ended up leading to riots. So, but I just want to touch on some of the good things and the bad things about it. So I hope you learned a lot about Woodstock, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
So how big was the riot?